You ever watch a pro tennis match and just see a shot that makes you go, wait, what? A player absolutely crushes the ball and you think it's going to fly into the stands, but then it just dives down into the back of the court? Well, let's get into it, because what you're seeing isn't magic, it's actually a masterpiece of applied physics. So yeah, this is the big question we're going to unpack. How in the world can a ball traveling at literal highway speeds from way back at the baseline actually land inside a 78-foot court? I mean, it feels like it should be impossible, right? But as you're about to see, the pros have figured out how to harness a force that gives them this insane advantage. Okay, so let's first dig into what makes this shot feel so, well, so wrong. It's this fundamental clash between just raw, brute force and the need for absolute precision.
Right? I mean, if you or I went out and tried to hit a tennis ball that hard, it would sail over the fence, no question. The faster you hit it in a straight line, the less time gravity has to do its job and pull the ball down. So logically, you just can't have extreme speed and pinpoint accuracy at the same time. And yet, they do, on almost every single point. To really get why, we need to take a step back and just appreciate the basic, kind of brutal physics of the tennis court itself. Every single player, from a total beginner to a Grand Slam champ, is fighting the exact same battle against geometry and gravity. So here's the puzzle. You have to get the ball over this 3-foot-high obstacle right in the middle. But then you have to make sure it comes down inside a very specific box. The thing is, the faster and flatter you hit that ball, the smaller your target window gets. It becomes like threading a needle at 80 miles per hour.
And this right here illustrates the problem perfectly. Take a look at the flat shot on the left. To hit it both hard and in, you've got this tiny, tiny sliver of space to aim for over the net. I mean, a few inches too high, it's out. A few inches too low, you're hitting the net. Now look at the topspin shot. It travels in this big, high arc, which creates a massive window to aim through. All of a sudden, your risk of making an error just plummets.
So what is this magic ingredient? What's the secret sauce that turns a high-risk gamble into a reliable, high-percentage weapon? Well, you've probably guessed it by now. It is all about the spin, specifically topspin.
So what is topspin? It's that aggressive, forward tumbling rotation you see on the ball. And players get it by swinging their racket from low to high, so the strings are basically brushing vertically up the back of the ball when they make contact. This simple action is what unlocks all the crazy physics we're about to get into.
Now, here's a number that might actually shock you. When you look at the data, the average rally ball from a pro doesn't clear the net by inches. It clears it by about 3 feet. I mean, that's the height of the net all over again. It sounds way too high, doesn't it? And this is the question that really unlocks everything. Hitting a ball 3 feet over the net should create this slow, loopy shot that your opponent can just step in and crush. But that's not what happens at all. The ball still has incredible pace and it lands deep in the court. So how is that even possible?
Well, the answer isn't just in the ball itself, but in how that ball interacts with the air it's flying through. And this is where we get into some really, really cool science.
The hero of our story, believe it or not, is a scientific principle called the Magnus effect. Now, in simple terms, what it means is that when something is spinning and moving through the air itself actually pushes on it. And with topspin, that push is directed straight down. Okay, let's break down exactly how this works. So as the ball is tumbling forward, it's dragging a little layer of air with it over the top. That layer clashes with the air the ball is flying into, which slows it down and creates a little pocket of high pressure. Meanwhile, underneath the ball, the surfaces are moving in the same direction, so the air flows way faster, creating low pressure. It's like an airplane wing, but upside down. And that high pressure on top literally shoves the ball towards the ground, forcing it to take that dramatic dip into the court. Okay, so that's the physics, which is awesome. But how does all this science actually translate into winning tennis matches? This is where the physics becomes strategy, and it's the reason topspin totally changed the game of tennis. Take a look at this. It's pretty wild. The average club player, when they're trying to hit hard, is aiming to just skim the net by a few inches. But the pro, who's armed with topspin, is aiming several feet higher. They're playing a completely different game, using a huge amount of vertical space that's basically invisible to the amateur player. And this extra height is everything. It's what we call margin for error. By aiming high over the net, players can swing out and hit the ball incredibly fast without constantly worrying about hitting the net cord. The Magnus effect then becomes their safety net, literally pulling the ball back down into play. It lets them be both aggressive and consistent at the same time, which is pretty much the holy grail in tennis.
This table really sums the whole thing up perfectly. Hitting a flat ball means you have low clearance, a really small margin for error, and a high risk of just missing. But hitting with topspin gives you high clearance, a huge margin, and the ability to hit hard with amazing consistency. I mean, it's really no contest.
And here's this fantastic quote from physicist Rod Cross that just nails it. He says, "The main point of topspin isn't even to make the ball curve, but to control its depth with a much greater margin for error." We always think of spin as something that makes the ball go sideways, but its most important job in today's game is vertical. It's a depth control system that gives players a massive safety buffer. So in the end, that's really what topspin is. It's the physics-based cheat code that lets players solve the fundamental puzzle of the game. It allows them to swing with incredible power while aiming at a huge target, turning what should be an impossible shot into their most reliable weapon. Seriously, the next time you watch a match, don't just see a player hitting a forehand. Watch the arc of the ball. Look for that huge clearance over the net, and then that sudden, violent dip as the ball dives for the baseline. You're not just watching a sport anymore. You're watching a beautiful demonstration of physics in action.